I'm one of the 7 wonders of the world, 217 miles long, 4,000 to 5,550 feet deep, and in this area the most dangerous animal is the squirrel. I am the Grand Canyon. The fact that sticks out at me most about this is the most dangerous animal in this area is the squirrel. When we went on our Jeep tour, the tour guide explained that the most dangerous animal in this area is the squirrel. Not because it's just dangerous, it's just people aren't very smart when dealing with squirrels. They think it's okay to feed the squirrels, and then as soon as they get close enough, the squirrel takes a bite out of them. First, we're going to talk about the science of the Grand Canyon. Then we'll talk about places to visit in the Grand Canyon, and then we'll discuss things to do when you're at the Grand Canyon. First, we're going to discuss the science of the Grand Canyon. The Colorado River is the river that flows through the Grand Canyon. It flows downhill in the canyon, making it able to flow. The river has slowly molded its way down, eroding away the sides and making the river bigger and wider and making it go lower down. When researching this, I really didn't understand what they were talking about when they were talking about how the Grand Canyon was formed. But stated by the Grand Canyon by Albano, he explained it in a more simpler way that made sense to me. He explained it like cutting through butter. The river is the knife and the butter is the canyon, and like the river, the knife cuts through the butter as the river would through the canyon. It started at the top and it has slowly worked its way down, eroding through all the rock and creating the river it is now and creating the beautiful scene we have now of the Grand Canyon. Forces are moving rocks like rain and the water and the storms and all that. They move the rocks and they erode away the rocks and all that kind of stuff. They just work away the rocks to make it what it looks like now. And over time, the rocks have been pushed or moved or stuff like that. The rocks are just moving along the way as they would through the storms. Because the rocks are being eroded away, you can see the layers of the limes of the Grand Canyon. One of the top layers is limestone. Created in the Grand Canyon by Albano, it is a gray color and it is the hardened seafloor and is over 260 million years old. This may seem old, but they're plenty older. Towards the bottom, as you can see in this picture, the bright angel shale is about 530 million years old, and according to the Grand Canyon rock layers by Rabasco, it is composed of mudstone shale and is a more easier eroded away sand because it has less sand in it. It is a green color like the picture shows, but it has brown, gray, and tan in it. It's more of like a mixture color. Just by looking at the Grand Canyon, as you can see in the picture, you can just see the layers are more defined and you can actually see the layers like you could by just looking at it. Now we'll discuss the places to visit at the Grand Canyon. One of the places we didn't get to see was the Navajo Bridge. According to Albano, stated in the Grand Canyon, the Navajo Bridge is 470 feet above the Colorado River. It is a set of twin bridges, and this is the only area where the traffic is able to cross above the Grand Canyon. It's the only area where cars can go from one side to the other. The Navajo Bridge is such a work of art. By just looking at the picture, you can see how much time and effort it took to create this. It cost about $15 million. The reason it was so expensive is because they had to really work to make sure that the bridge would last long enough because of the rock that it was sitting on, so it wouldn't erode away and fall down. One area that we did get to see, and to me was the most beautiful of the entire park, was the desert view. According to National Park Services, it is located on the east rim. The watchtower was built in 1905 and completed in 1932. The reason it took so long because it wasn't they didn't use machinery to create this. It was created by man-made hands and stuff. I just thought this view was so beautiful because you were just so high above the canyon that you could see such a vast area and you could just see so much. And we saw that when we got to this area of the Grand Canyon, it was about nighttime, so the sun was setting and it was just such a beautiful view to see from so high up. Now we'll talk about the things to do at the Grand Canyon. One thing we did, and I recommend to everybody, is a Jeep tour. There are so many different companies you can go through, and according to the National Park Reservation, you can go at any different times, like sunset, morning, afternoon, all day, half day. The prices range from $47 to $69, and you can go in any different area you want. You can just go to certain areas, like the different rims or the loops, or go see the Indian paintings in certain areas. When we went on an all-day tour. They served us lunch. It was a little more expensive because it was all day and they served us lunch. But we just learned so much more than we would have on our own. I felt like I'd actually learned something when visiting the Grand Canyon. Another thing you can do is river rafting. There are so many different companies like Jeep tours that you can go on. According to the Grand Canyon National Park lodges, the prices range from $100 to $200, depending on how long you go or the different waves and stuff you go on, the rafts and all that. These are just a few of the activities you can go on. There are so many different things you can do at the Grand Canyon that you wouldn't expect. You just have to go and try it out, see what you like. First, we talked about the science of the Grand Canyon. Then we discussed the places to visit at the Grand Canyon, and then we talked about the things to do at the Grand Canyon. Every year, about 5 million people visit the Grand Canyon, and I recommend you do it. At first, when we talked about going to the Grand Canyon, I thought it was going to be a boring trip, just sitting in the car looking at rock. But after we gone, I realized why it is one of the 7 wonders of the world. It is just so beautiful and magnificent, and I recommend everybody to go.